Hi everybody. This is just a basic financial tool I want to share with you which I developed, and this is just to explain to people what their current, or to give them indication what their current financial situation is, and also whether they are on track with their planning or whether they are slightly in trouble. Regardless of that, this tool is a very easy tool to understand. It's basically finances for dummies. So without further ado, what we're going to work with is basically assets and liabilities, income and expenses, financial distribution, and then your financial independence to see how independent you really are. I'm going to use a scenario, just an examples. So let's start with assets and liabilities. Assets is basically just to go over it again, something that you own, and liabilities is something that you owe. So between the two, you want to understand what is your net worth, and you want to understand what your net worth is at any point in time, any given moment. So when you calculate this, you can know what your net worth is. So say for instance you had to resign today, or you would be without a job today, and you had to draw a line in the sand. You want to know what is your net worth with regards to your assets and your liabilities. So say you didn't have a job today, and you could claim, for instance, unemployment. Also, by the way, this is in South African rands. You can have this in pounds and euros, whatever currency you prefer. However, this is for in rands for this exercise. And say you have unemployment of 20,000, and you have a pension fund of say 450,000 after tax. It's very, very important. And you have a property that's paid off of 500,000, and you have no vehicle that's paid off. You still own your vehicle. You got some savings there going, say, no, let's make it an easy number, let's say 10,000, and you got some cash there of 5,000, and you have no additional retirement policies. Maybe you got some investments, shares and stuff that you can sell out, and that would be to the value of say 25,000. And maybe of the house that you have paid off, you get a rental income of say 5,000. And maybe if you had to sell off your household items today, you'll get probably like 20,000, just as an example. So that means that your net worth is 1.035 million as of today. Now, if you look at your liabilities, this is what you owe people. Excuse me. Say on your credit card, you owe say 10,000. And on you don't have any leases, you don't pay any rentals, maybe you got some loans going there to the value of 50,000, and you have a bond which you own 500,000 on. That's an additional bond besides the one you don't have at the top. And maybe you have a vehicle finance of say 250,000, which is average vehicle in South Africa at the moment, and no overdraft. Maybe you have no unpaid taxes, maybe no shopping credit, but you can all populate that. If you do have that, it can be populated to add up, and say maybe till the end of your cell phone or your phone contract, you owe another say 5,000. So that means your liabilities is 815,000 as of today when you populate all of this. That means that your net worth is 220,000 rand. That's the difference between your assets and your liabilities if you had to sell and pay everything at once as of today. So that means your wealth ratio is for every 5 rand or $5 or whatever you want to call it, you owe 4. So it's not a good ratio, but it'll give you a good indication of what your stand is. If you look at your income and your expenses, let's just quickly look there. We want to calculate your gross income after tax. We want to see what your expenses are, and then we want to see what your net income is that you can spend and invest and saving. Okay, say for instance you have an average job and you have 25,000 rand after tax, purely after tax, nothing else. And maybe that house you owe of 500,000 rand, you get a rental income of say 4 or 5, and you don't have any share trading, and maybe some interest on capital. You get probably like say 2,500 rand a month. and no other income. So your gross income after tax is 32,000. If you look at your expenses, you don't pay any rent. You have a bond of a house of say 500,000, so say it's 5.5. And vehicle installments on 250 is probably 5,000. And you get groceries. You have to buy, you unfortunately have to buy groceries, but we're looking at about 2.5 per month, which is not a lot. Water and electricity about 2,000, and we're looking at a payment about 2.5, and then we look at a loan repayment of that 50,000 rand there, which roughly would be say 1.8, and then an overdraft you wouldn't have, and then credit card repayments. If you own a credit card, you probably have to pay back say 1.5, and then shopping debt you wouldn't have, and then say for instance you got policies to the value of 2.5, and you have insurance to the value of say 2,000, and you have medical aid of 3.5 for you and your family. Pension fund is 2.5, and you don't buy any gifts, and you try and save 1,000 rand a month, and you have a cell phone contract of about 500 rand a month, which means your expenses 32,800. Okay, that means that you're 800 rand in debt every month, and it's all as a result of your expenses. It shouldn't be more than 10%, but your minus 2.5, so you're 12.5 overspend on expenses, which means your day-to-day financial standing ratio is for every 1 rand that you earn, you spend 1 rand. Okay, if we look at your financial distribution, that's just basically a couple of rules here which I came up with to say pay yourself first, ensure that 30% of your gross income is spent on yourself, ensure not to exceed a lifestyle expense of more than 40% of your gross income. Not more than 25% of your gross income should be allocated to paying all debt. So we have a couple of numbers, 30, 40, and 25. Upon deducting your monthly expenses from your gross income, you should have a minimum of 10% net income. So let's see how this gentleman or lady or whatever it is, how they fare. So we say on yourself, you're not supposed to spend less than 30%. This person is spending 35 based on all the information we populated, which is 11.5. So they're overspending 5% on themselves. And then lifestyle, they have a benchmark of 40, they're only spending 21, so there's a big gap of 18.66% underspend. But the big one is the debt is overspent. It should be 25 and it's 43.6, and it's overspent by 18.6%, which means if you look at a pie chart, this is basically how your expenditure pattern will look like between your income and expenses and your lifestyle, as well as your debt and yourself. Then if we look at your financial independence, you've got a passive income between your rental income and share, interest, trade, and all those things, about 7,000. If you look at your savings, you've got about 35. It's all the information we have populated. Current cash, that's now your policies, your pension and everything would be 475 you have to cash in today. Those two combined is 510. Your monthly expenses according to our population is 32,800, which means if you had to live on your savings alone, you would survive 16 months. But if you want to live on your passive income, which means you will be financial independent indefinitely, you can't do that because your passive income is 7,000, you need 32, which means you need more money. The moment that and that is the same, or this one is more than this one, then this will change to say indefinite. So I hope you enjoyed this, and like I said, this is just a simple, very simple financial tool for people to understand the finances better, and they can use this. If you need this, just go to the link at the bottom and I can mail this, or you can download this simple tool which you can utilize to manage your finances, and I really hope that it can make a difference for you. Thank you.